Alrighty, so are you struggling to beat difficult content in Dokkan and don't know how to build teams for specific types of events? This could be examples like short fights, long fights, in between, all of that fun stuff. Well, look no further. The Dokkan Guide guy is back, and we are going to be going over who to bring into certain types of fights and just overall sort of tips on what you should be doing in short form content, long form content, and all the things in between. So if you do enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave a like and comment what your favorite type of fight in Dokkan is, and I'll get back to you in the comment section below. So without further ado, this video is going to be divided into two sections, being short fights and then long fights. We're going to start with the short and then move on to the long. So if you don't need any help with short form or long form content, you can watch one section. It'll be timestamped, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we are going to be going over the short form content in Dokkan first. Now, what are we looking for when we are looking for short form content in terms of characters that you are going to want to bring in order to have the most success in this content? Well, the first thing that we want to prioritize is going to be high damage reduction at the beginning of the fight, depending on whether or not it tapers off, depending on whether or not it goes away after one appearance. All of these fun things are going to be very important. So characters that tend to have high damage reduction right away are going to be characters that are going to thrive in short content like this. Now, a prime example of a character that is going to excel for you in short form content is going to be a guy like Beast Gohan. Now, what we will go over when we're done going over like specifically for shorter content characters is we will kind of go at the end, like talk about all of the different characters that are going to be good in both forms of content. Now, Beast Gohan is so good because of his high damage reduction combined with his guard and his ability to have a taunt after he is hit once. So on his taunt turn, on his initial turn, basically from turn 1 all the way up to turn 8, this guy is going to be extremely hard to take down. Now, are there scenarios where you can get caught with a super for a couple 100,000? Absolutely, but that is not going to be that common because, again, this guy is just going to hold it down for you at the beginning of the fight, right? Which is going to make things very nice because in short form content that is going 4 to 5 turns, or in the case of something like Battle Hard and Formidable Foes, you are going to be going back and forth between different things like that. So you're going to go from the first fight to the second fight, and turn 1 is going to constantly be resetting. Therefore, you are going to have something like you're going to have his intro buff in that specific portion of the fight. Now, another character that is going to excel for you in the short form content is going to be AGL Ultra Instinct Goku. Now, this is a guy who's going to have guaranteed dodging on his first turn as well as a turn after he has revived. So if you revive on turn 4, you get to turn 6, guess what? You're going to have that guaranteed dodge again. After that, you are going to be relying on a 77% chance that goes up by 7% per dodge, and he's also going to work out very well. So short form content, this guy has access to a revival. It's very easy to get. This guy has access to guaranteed dodging. This is going to be an extremely high risk, very high reward character where you can easily go an entire run without seeing him get hit once, or he gets hit once and you lose the run. But ultimately, I think that first turn guaranteed dodging, especially if it's like slot 1, turn 1, it doesn't get much better than this UI Goku on that alone because he literally cannot take damage if dodge has not been disabled. So for long-term content, this is going to make things a little bit trickier. And overall, I think that you have better options in terms of long-form content, but when there's short-form content, no dodge disabling, this is going to be as good as it gets in terms of short form content. Another character who I think is going to work out very well in short form content is going to be this Broly, because he has high damage reduction from where he transforms. From his first turn, he's going to have that 90% damage reduction with support, and then he's also going to be providing additional damage reduction below 90%, I believe it's 76, after that when you transform, and he's also going to have guard. So depending on the situation, this guy is usually always going to be a reliant tank for you in fights like Battle Hard and Formidable Foes and fights that go under that sort of 8 to 9 turn threshold, right? When you get out of that area, we'll talk more about stages like that in a little bit, this is where he is going to not thrive nearly as much. Now, those are sort of the examples of characters that we are looking for in terms of short form content. Now, there are other examples of mechanics that you could potentially use to your advantage that are going to be helpful, right? I think if we look at this Vegeta in specific, if we go to the Goku portion of this character, this guy is also going to have something that's very, very helpful for short form content, especially Battle Hard and Formidable Foes, because when you reverse exchange into Goku and you do his active skill, you are going to gain access to a Ghost Usher. So Ghost Usher is a very, very, very broken mechanic, being able to take away enemies' attacks, ending the fight by turn 4, which is usually what I'm doing in Battle Hard and Formidable Foes. Again, that could be a little dupe dependent. I had a pretty good anniversary, but it's not always going to be the case where you just are always clearing it in 4 turns. So I do understand if you want to wait and fuse into Gogeta, but that can 100% work as well. Now, somebody else I think who isn't like perfect for short form content, but he also can work very well. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I think, is one of those characters who you could go easily as a jack of all trades. He is easily going to be able to go into short form and long form content because he has stacking, and then he also has guard when you transform with him. He has damage reduction support, and then he has that dodge chance on his first appearance. And if you go into turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 with low HP in fights like this, you are going to be able to use his giant form right away. So that's going to be a character who is very, very good. Now, that's kind of like examples of characters that I want to talk about, you know, ghost ushers, damage reduction, guard, ability to stun, characters like that. So Goku and Frieza, again, for example, I think low-key in short form content is going to work out very well. Where's Goku Frieza? Where are you? I have you rainbow. There you are. So I don't know why I have them rainbowed. I just got super unlucky summoning for Gohan, but super lucky for these guys. So sometimes that's just how things go. But with this Goku and Frieza, they have the ability to stack. They have the damage reduction with low HP. But let's take a look at some characters that I want to talk about with some other perks with damage reduction that might not be as like common as some of the other ones. Now, a big example, and people always love talking about this guy in the comments, which is completely fine. I get it. This Super Saiyan 3 Goku in short form content is going to work out very well because he has that damage reduction and guard, 90% damage reduction and guard in slot 1, turn 1, which is going to be extremely helpful for stuff like battle hard and formidable foes. So when you have a character like this whose buff is constantly going to be resetting with the guard and the damage reduction, this is going to be a prime example of a character who you want to use in short form content. Now, something else that you could talk about with this character is the fact that he also has the ability to stun, and his counterpart from that year, being Mr. Boo over here, Int Boo right here, he has the ability to stun. He has the Ghost Usher after he revives, which is super easy to get. You can run this guy off lead in battle hard and formidable foes, and it's going to work out well. And then he also has some long content appeal because of how he is formatted to work, right? Because he has the revive, he has the ability to stack, he has all of these fun things going for him. So very good character here. That is a prime example of characters that you want to use in short form content. And if you are struggling, you can always use Whis items and stuff like that. Someone else that I want to mention kind of last but not least here for short form content. I can't, wow, voice crack, but I can't get everybody, unfortunately, in this video. I don't want it to be 45 minutes. But with this guy in specific, if you run like an uncontrollable power team here, you are easily going to be able to get his domain active and then run that for the turn and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you are doing that. But when it comes to short form content, those are the abilities that you are looking for. Guard, well, high damage reduction paired with guard, paired with the ability to seal enemies, stun enemies, guaranteed dodges in specific ways, right? These are just things that you are looking for. You want very high damage reduction right away. The year 7s are going to be a prime example of this. Dodging, revives, stuff like that. Things that you're not really going to have to build up in order to take full advantage of. That is going to be the key to doing short form content. So when it comes to items, if you want to use those, again, I know some people have like a, you know, a sort of like vendetta against items. My philosophy is always going to be like, if you need to use them to win, just use them, right? What I think you shouldn't do after you do that is like, if you get the clear with items, then you sort of have to, like, I think this is really just kind of coming from like a social media perspective, but you can't go and say like, oh, this event was easy when you had to use items for it, right? Which is okay. Like using items, I don't really think there's any problems. Like most of the time, I think a lot of my viewers, because, you know, I try to appeal to the newer player audience, right? And then obviously people that know me and stuff watch the videos. Thank you very much. It's always like, if you're just trying to clear something for Dragon Stones, there is no shame in using Whis items. But tangent over, let's talk about items that I think you should potentially be using in short form content. I think Ghost Ushers are very good. I think Whis items right here are very good. Icarus items right here are very good. If the enemy can be debuffed, and Nurse Chi-Chi is always good. This lowers the enemy's attack and defense by a substantial amount, 74%. This is a very good item. An underrated item that you should definitely hold on to if you have them is this robot Ghost Usher right here, because this is going to use a Ghost Usher, and then the next turn their attack is also going to be lowered, and then some other things like that. So items that prioritize damage reduction, that take away enemies' attacks, that give you extra ki, all of that fun stuff is going to be very valuable for short form content. So that is the short form content portion of this. Let's move on to the long form content portion. Okay, so just as a benchmark here, I'm going to be using the Festival of Battles as an example for long form content. But long form content stretches beyond just that. We have like new red zone stages and things like that. The Supreme, what is it? The Supreme Magnificent Battle, I believe it's called. This stage right here. These ones are pretty long fights, right? Just any fight where you're going to be going like, 12, 13, 14, 15 turns. And then in the case of festivals of battles, are you going, 80 turns, which this is an anomaly fight. But again, you have to at least, this is just what I'm going to show on the screen while I'm talking about long form content. Now, characters that you are going to be focusing on for long form content are going to be doing something a little bit different. With that being said, stacking is the name of the game. These are characters who have enough to hold it down at the beginning to the point where defensively they'll be okay, but they need to start building up their offensive numbers. They need to start building up these defensive numbers. All the characters that you're looking at on your screen right now are prime examples of characters who are good at stacking. So what you're looking for in specific is when they have like a super attack effect. This is a really bad example because I'm on the JP version right now, but let's just say this is on, who do I want to use as an example, right? Like we go right here and we use these guys. There's going to be on the super attack effects right here, you guys can see it says attack and defense. And if there was like a character that only did it for one turn, who's like somebody that would do it for one turn? This is just like a hard time to do this, just like kind of like looking at defense on one turn. But what you need to know is that, again, if they're only raising that defense for one turn, it's not going to stay over on the next turn. So if it just says raises attack and defense, this means that the super attack effect is going to last every single time you do that super. So that defensive number and that offensive number are only going to get higher and higher and higher and higher. Can we get much higher? All of that fun stuff, right? So that is sort of like what the name of the game for long form content. Now, what you have to do when you're in this gameplay wise is you need to be patient, right? Just because you're on turn 5 doesn't mean you need to bring out Vegito, doesn't mean you need to bring out Gogeta. Especially with the Festival of Battles, you have to think about these things, right? You only want to break out Vegito if you know you're not going to be able to win without him, right? That's sort of the idea with this, or you want to end the fight right there. But stacking, like I said, is going to be your best friend. Now, there are some prime examples of stacking characters that really we could be here all day in terms of like who is like a really good stacking character. Well, we've already talked about the year 10 LRs. We've already talked about Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the year 7 LRs. These are going to sort of be at the end. We're going to do like units that are good for both forms content, characters you're always going to want to be running. The year 7s, right? The year 10s, stuff like that. LR Namek Goku is going to be an exceptional stacking unit. He builds up very, very quickly. But if we go down to the TUR section, right, low key, like these guys are power crept, but when they get their EZA next year, this will be a good example of a stacking character. But if we go over to the EZA section, I'm looking for somebody in specific. It's TUR and Broly right here. Nope, not that one. This guy right here, he is an example of a stacker. Just really overall, that is what you were looking for, right? Characters who are constantly going to be building up as the fight goes on. That way you are just going to be safe. When you get towards the end, you're going to be putting up those mammoth attack and defensive numbers to kind of aid the additional bells and whistles that the characters are going to be having, like damage reduction, like guard, all of that fun stuff. That is how you make longer events a little bit more manageable. Now, something else that you could bring to your aid is a support memory. This Goku family one right here with Goku and Chi-Chi is very good. There's a whole bunch of good support memories, right? This one's really good for movie heroes. If we go right down here, this one's good for bond to parent and child characters. This one's really good for movie boss characters, right? Power Beyond Super Saiyan, this is a really good one. This is sort of just like what you want to look at and what you want to evaluate when you are going into content like this, right? How can these things help me in the fight and stuff like that? That is what you're going to be looking for. Now, the items when it comes to longer form content is sort of going to be the same thing, where we have Whis items, we have Icarus items, and then if you want to go more offensive approach, what you want to do is bring what is known as a nuking item, which is going to be an orb changing item, like I always forget the name of this, but the roulette item, it's like the wasabi roulette item. The thing that Beerus does in Dragon Ball Super, where it's like one of the dumplings or whatever the item, I forget what it's called, but one of them is spicy, right? So like that's just the item that uses to change tech orbs. And then like this one changes. I believe this one is for STR. This one's for AGL. This one's for int. And then the Deborah cookie is for physical. So those items are going to be very important. Now, when it comes to building teams for fights like this, you really want to stick to the 250% leader skill. So at the end of the day, like these two are going to be your best friends, right? Like if we talk about characters that you're going to want to bring as your leads, you want to have the maximum stat buff possible when we're using stacking characters. These are going to be your sort of best bet, right? And then building teams based around that, we're going to want to have stackers. So we have this guy. you are a stacker, right? You can build up. This is a very good free-to-play character right here if you want to run him. Again, we talked about Namek Goku. We talked about some other stacking characters like this guy. We could take you off and we could bring you, right? The year 7s, right? It's just, there's a lot of different ways that you can build teams and have synergy in between them and make it work. Now, again, when it comes to the Festival of Battles, you are at a much smaller window of characters that you can use, but there are going to be much more options if you go elsewhere, right? If you go down to like a different red zone or something like that, if we were to go into here, this is where you're going to have a little bit more freedom to run whatever team that you would want, right? You guys can see right here, I'm running a Glorio team because this team just works out very well, has a lot of dodging, has all of that fun stuff. So that is sort of the example that I would like to use. So when it comes to long form content, that is how you want to build your teams. You want to prioritize characters that are going to be stacking, but also can do offensive and defensive things at the beginning. So really, you're just going to be focusing on the best characters. And then for short form content, you are going to be doing a little bit more niche stuff. So let's close this video out with characters that I think can be ran in both content and be both forms of content and be extremely efficient. And then I'll let you guys go. Okay, so last but not least for this specific video, I want to talk about characters that are going to be just sort of like the ones you want to run everywhere and it's always going to work for you. I think these guys, the year 10s are a prime example. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, this is going to be a unit you can run anywhere and it's going to work out very well for you. I think that low-key, this Namek Frieza is very good for both forms of content because he has early damage reduction and stacking capability. I think that that could work out very well for you. I think Tech Gogeta is a little more short form based because when you get to turn 4, you can fuse, but he also can go long form sometimes. Maybe not Festival of Battles, but other long form content for sure. These guys could be ran in short form and long form with their ability to have damage reduction right away, and then their ability to get it again turn 4 or whenever you're going to fuse. I think for Tech Vegito, this is going to be another example of a character you can do that for. Short form content, quickly forgot to mention this guy right here. Gotenks is very good for that. Not you. Vegeta is going to be the same thing. Short form content is sort of where you want to bring that guy. Namek Goku really can get away with both, but I would highly recommend you keep him towards long content. Who else do we got in here? For long form content, I would say that the physical Super Saiyan 4s are a really good example of characters that can be ran in long form content. Who else do we have in here? When it comes to both, I needed a second there, sorry. I'm looking for like one more, right? It's let's go to Super AGL and it's right here with you. It's going to be our buddy Kid Goku. Where are you? So Kid Goku, this is also somebody I believe that you could easily run in both forms of content. So there you guys have it. Let me know down below what you guys think. What are you using for difficult content? What are you using for short form content, long form content, and your favorite type of fights in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you were new, and I'll see you all in the next one.